I was a huge fan of Devil May Cry back in the day. I remember at the time people were sort of mixed about it, but I loved it anyway. The dice minigame was the only part that I hated, and having to backtrack through old areas didn't bother me at all. My, how times have changed. I picked up the special edition for PS4, and while I still enjoyed the game, the flaws really grated on me, right from the get-go. The remastered version is an improvement over the older one, but not by much. The textures are sharper, and I believe the resolution is higher, but I noticed right away that the background textures were blurry, something I didn't remember from the original. Sure enough, after I beat the game, I popped the older version back in and the blur was missing. I guess Capcom was too lazy to upgrade the background textures, so they just blurred them out. The original does use motion blur on the backgrounds when you move the camera, and the remastered version doesn't do that, so it's kind of a trade-off. The most striking thing about DMC4 is that the game isn't nearly as good as I remember. Nero isn't a great character, and the best part about the game is when you get to play as Dante, and it takes a long time to get to that part. It's extremely satisfying because a lot of the boss fights that were a challenge with Neo are a cakewalk with Dante. It's impressive how they managed to show the power difference between Nero and Dante using the gameplay, and not just cutscenes. That said, it took way longer to get there, and it was really grating on my nerves. Like, every time I made it to a new area, I was kind of like, is this the part? Is this the part? Is this the part? But nope, still playing Nero. When it finally happened, it took me a few minutes to adjust to Dante's playstyle, but it was pretty fun and I really enjoyed messing around with him. Unfortunately, you switch back to Nero at some point, and he's considerably less fun to play as. Although his glowy arm thing is kinda cool. Story-wise, the game is a lot weaker than I remembered. The bad guys were really corny. I remember the moth scientist guy being annoying, but the other bad guys weren't much better. Hell, the boss of the game is an old man dressed like the Pope. It's a far cry from the badasses like Nero Angelus from the first game.
Go blow yourself.
Another thing I didn't care for was how angsty Nero was. Maybe it's just because I'm older, but I remember him being a badass in his own right, but on this playthrough he just seemed like a super emo wuss. Constantly shouting, "Kyrie! Kyrie!" Shut up, Nero. With all that said and done, I'm glad I played through this game again. People really hated DMC Devil May Cry, but I enjoyed it. The new Dante doesn't compare to the old Dante, and playing this game really confirmed that. The original guy is boss. The only bad thing I can say about DMC4, really, is the reusing of assets. You go back through the old areas way more times than I remembered, and you end up fighting most of the bosses 3 separate times. The first 2 times you can excuse for the story reasons, but the third time is just pure laziness. The special edition added new content allowing you to play as Virgil, Trish, Lady, but I was so tired of running through the same areas again that I didn't have any motivation to play through the story modes or beat their own separate games. The only other thing is, I wish the damn enemies would leave me alone while I'm trying to rock out. That's all I have to say. Till next time, be excellent to each other.
What took you so long? You. What are you doing here? Forget it. I don't have time for this. And neither do I. So I'll cut to the chase. I'm here for the sword. Your point being? It was originally my brother's. Return it to me, and I'll let you go, kid. Kid? Well, that's how you see me think you're blushing pretty pink when I kick your ass! Oh. Helpful hint. Take a tip from the elders.